Hey YouTube, how you doing? Kevin here coming at you. Back on the transmission case. I just did a video about my camera wasn't recording. I thought it was recording. So I gotta go back over everything I did. Alright, so if you guys watched my previous video, you guys would have saw that the transmission, on the transmission lockup, I give you guys a sneak peek. You can see where the gear is all shiny right here. That's because it's warped and it's rubbing right there. And it's all bound up on the inside here. This top gear right here is supposed to spin freely, but I can't even move it up or down or in and out. So if you look up under here, see where it's all melted? The shaft got really hot. So the top gear that goes on it still goes on, but this shaft is not straight, it's bent. Alright, so which I just changed this, so I'm going to have to show you guys at the end what I did. The problem with it was this bushing. Okay, there's a V channel right here. See that channel? That channel directs oil to that top hole. This, which I just did the video, I'm sorry, was like that, and on the hole was up against, see the V channel right there? Oil fills up and back there and leaks down through. The hole right there was lined up over here and wasn't getting oil. So that's the problem with that. Just put it on the table, buddy. So I had to replace the bushing. All I did to replace the bushing was real simple. On this side right here, I took off this screw, this bolt, this plate come out, and I used a socket, stuck it in the bushing and drove it out through. It comes out pretty easy. It's a real simple thing. So then I took a nice clean rag, I wiped up all the way inside here, and that's where I left off. So just want to make sure it's nice and clean. There's no debris in any of the channels down bottom, and it looks really nice. Check your bearings, make sure they spin freely, and put your drum. The drum right here, this is the drum. Make sure it goes on to detent, which is neutral. And what I mean by detent is there's a groove right here, and there's a ball that'll line up with. Okay, so you have to put that in on the detent, which is neutral. Okay, and then you should be all set with that. This is the new gear right here. This one slides off. This is the gear that's seized up on the other shaft. You can see how nice it moves here. And this whole part right here is all melted on the other one. This is a good shaft. This is a nice straight shaft. And then the you can see how the dogs engage it right there. See how they engage, and then it drives the shaft. Okay. Now, these are called dogs. These are what grabs the holes in the sprocket or gear and allows it to drive the bike. If you have a dog that has rounded edges, it's not good. Okay, they are slightly rounded, but they should be nice and flat. If they are not nice and flat, what can happen is when it's rounded and you put power to the gear, it'll kick the gear out. So instead of being engaged, it'll move it out and then it'll slip back into neutral. That's why your transmissions come out of gear. This is a good transmission, so I'm going to be able to use it. So let's clean it up nicely. It was lack of oil, lack of lubrication is what caused that to happen. Typically, only one I've ever seen do that. But when I had it apart and I saw that the oil hole wasn't lined up, it was lined up over here someplace, should be straight up and down. That's why that happened. So luckily for me, I've got a few other parts bikes. Was able to use the transmission from one and put it in this one. Same gear ratio, same everything. So I'm going to clean up all my gears, make sure there's no debris on it, and then go from there. So we're not putting the case together tonight. We're going to put the case together tomorrow night. I'm just doing this quick video to show you guys how we're going to assemble the transmission and get that part done, and then tomorrow night we're going to assemble the actual casing. Okay, so I'm putting a little bit of lube on it, there, just so it doesn't go into it dry. Okay. Nice, it spins nicely. And then for the secondary shaft, right here, this is the one that the clutch drives on. We're going to take this sleeve off, wipe it. We're actually going to have to pull the shaft back out because this goes in first. Keep the tone change, good. Bearings look good. A little bit of oil on that. On the inside there's a bearing. So you want to make sure that bushing that's inside there gets lube. Always lube. Don't be afraid of lube. It's always good. The stuff I'm using is the Permatex Ultra Slick Engine Assembly Lube. Because this is transmission fluid, because this is motor oil and not transmission fluid, it's safe to use that. Okay, I'll grab that, re-grab that shaft there. Put that in. That meshes nicely. It's fully seated in. Then you inspect all the dogs on the shaft right here. See how these ones are more squared? That's pretty much it right there. And those are all your gears. Now it spins freely too. Dogs aren't rounded off. Looks good. This one fits right on the end. It's an idler. I'm just going to wipe it off real quick. Make sure that the, what do you call it, the ends of it, look how nice these look. These are nice. This is a nice shaft. This is in good shape. Okay, this is the clutch shaft right here. So for this one, a little bit of assembly lube on it. I'm going to have to slide this one up and out and mesh them together first so that they fit properly. Look at that, huh? Nice. Okay. Then the shaft, make sure you wipe everything down. Wipe everything down. Always wipe them down. Make sure everything you put in has been wiped down and there's no debris on it. Very important. This is the shifting forks right here. Okay. Make sure they're not all worn out. This is a worn one. See the wear mark on it? So I'm going to see if I have another shifting fork. Just so happens I do. This one's a little one, but not. No, I like the other one better. No, I'm not, buddy. I'm still making my video. Alright, make sure it's all nice and cleaned up. And then, do that in there, please. I'm going to put a little bit of lube on the where the meets. Okay. If you drive a standard car and you have your hand on the shifter all the time while you're driving, it actually wears these out. It's not a good practice to drive with your hand on the shifter. Okay. It's going to fit right into that groove right there. Take that nice shaft I just cleaned up. Throw a little bit of lube on that. Don't need a whole lot on that, just coat it. Slide it on down through. Okay. Alright. The other shaft is going to receive two, what do you call it there? Shifters. Two of them look like that. Right there. Same thing, pull them apart, inspect them. You can see the heat mark. Look how hot that one got. That's junk. Junk. I'm actually going to take the one that came off this transmission and re-put that with it. I'm not playing around with old junky parts. If it's junk, it can go. Okay. Clean it up nicely. Make sure it's nice and clean. Lube it. Fits right into the groove. And then move it up to the shifter part of it, right there, where it's going to remain. We'll clean up the other one. That's next to it. Lube this one. Really not much to these transmissions. Gonna fit right into there. Hold on. Okay, that's gonna fit into there like so. That's gonna fit down there like that. This one's gonna fit into here like that. I believe that's how it goes. One on one side, not on the other. Okay. The shaft goes right through here, right through there. And of course into the block. Like so. Okay, I got one gear that's not quite seated in properly, which would be this top one here. Oh, no, it is seated in. I had the thing on the other side and it was up against the shaft. Nice. Once that goes into there, that'll be up there like that. Okay. And there you have it. You can see the transmission shifter right there and perfect. Spinning beautifully. See if we can get that better view of that. See it spinning? And then you move the drum, if you can. I think it's too oily here. Nope, I can't move it without that. Okay, now I'm into a gear. Yep, and now it's moving the rear end. The we call it there the shaft, the upper shaft. And then you click it back to neutral, which is neutral is where the detent is. And then it's all in neutral. Alright, so we got that. It's gonna be quieter when the bearings are up in the right spot, but for right now they're actually kind of drooped down a little bit because it needs the support from the other side. But that's nice and smooth right there. I'm happy with that. Alright, then basically all you're doing is cleaning up any excess stuff. We're going to clean up the casings, and the next step is the Kickstarter. So we'll grab that whole thing and we'll reinstall the Kickstarter, which is always fun. So kickstart is going in today. The what do you call it there? There we go. Take that out through. Kickstart. Make sure that's all nice and cleaned up as well. There was nothing wrong with any of the stuff that was in there. It was all in good shape, which is really what I was pleased about. So we're gonna just take it apart real quick, clean it, make sure there's no debris on it, because this is also at the bottom. Okay, that all looks good. The gear's gonna fit in there like so, right in there, for the Kickstarter. And that's pretty much it for that. Goes up underneath in the back. Oh. On the Kickstarter, you have your what they call a pawl. This piece right here, which slides out. You have a spring and a cup. So the spring, and then the cup goes over that, which pushes it up. This slides into a groove right inside here. Push the spring in, and this right here fits right inside there, just like that. Then on the other side, bunch that up underneath there like that so it doesn't fall out on me. Then on this side over here, we're going to have a cup. Slides over it like that. Then you kickstart a spring. Alright, kickstart a spring. And then, whatchamacallit there? Fits into a hole down bottom. Down bottom there. Fits into that piece right there, and it slides right in and back of it. Just like so. So it goes all the way to the bottom. Okay, buddy. All right. And this is floppy right now, but it won't be when it meets the other side of the case, because the other side of the case is what holds it up. I'll be right back. I just gotta go grab something real quick. Alright, so we got that part all done. So basically where we're at with this project is we have the Kickstarters installed, which is going to be actually tightened up a little bit more when we put the, see right here, this is what holds it, and when you put the case on there, it sandwiches it. So that'll take care of that whole floppiness. There's always a little play in that anyway. And then when you put that on, it shouldn't have up and down. I mean, you have a little bit of play, but nothing dramatic. Okay, and then on this shaft right here, there's a little bearing that goes in there, which seats your shaft. And that's pretty much it. So tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to clean the case. We're going to put a thin bead of silicone. There's no gasket. There's RTV silicone. And we want to make sure these are the dowel pins right here. So these are here, fit in the groove and help with your alignment of your case. So what we're going to do is, now we got the transmissions all together. We got the Kickstarter back in. We got all that. This hole right here is for your shifter. That goes in last. So where we're at right now is transmission's assembled. It's not locked up anymore. Tomorrow we're going to clean up the gasket surface. we're going to put a thin layer of silicone on it. Once we get the thin layer of silicone, we're then going to put this case together. There we go. We're going to clean up the gasket surface. I'm going to show you how to. There's no gasket on. It's like a film, if you will, but it's a machined surface. So this is already, the vent's already cleaned out. We're all set with that. Starter shaft is in. The bearing is actually sitting in the case in the back there. So we're gonna put that together. This is how your transmission should look when it's all together. You should have both shafts in there, up top here. Your drum is up here. I didn't even remove the detent. And then you got your kickstarter shaft here. And the kickstarter shaft actually rides on the, if you look up in here, there's a hole right here for the kickstarter shaft, and then that screw right there is the stopper. That's what actually hits right here and stops it. So we got all that done. We're actually moving right along on this project. So this is going to be a good motor. This motor, which is a ke100 engine, is going to be made into a km or a kd100 engine. Which is the beauty thing is the same gear ratio, same transmission, same kickstart, same crankshaft, same stroke. Everything's the same, but we're going to make this KE motor into a KD100M or an MC1 engine. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys on that. It's funny because the transmission was just simply locked up because it had a bushing that overheated. It had a what do you call it there? That little drain that lubricates it didn't lubricate it, and as a result, it caused a lack of oil to that one gear, and causes the transmission to lock up tight. When it locked up tight, the bike was deemed dead, and I ended up picking it up for very, very cheap money. Integral parts, everything I had, everything you see here, I already had in stock. So I keep transmission parts in stock. I have a few extras, so it worked out pretty good. All the bearings are good on this motor. Seals were all good. This thing was a 1995, and it had 1,200 miles on it. So it's a factory issue. But you wouldn't have known it because, one, the bike doesn't get ran a lot. When the guy finally did take it out to run it, he lost a bushing because of lack of oil, because it wasn't installed properly. So if you ever have a transmission bushing you have to replace, always check for a hole. This one has the hole, and that goes into the V like I showed you earlier. This is going to be a good motor, guys. This is going to be a good engine. Crank's in excellent condition. Everything's in excellent. Look at the studs. Studs are nice. Everything was clean on this motor. So it's got. I checked out the clutch. The clutch is in good shape. Everything's good. There's no major issues with it, except for the transmission. Not anymore. So tomorrow, what we're going to do tomorrow is I'm going to show you how to keep the ball from falling out. And we're going to use a couple blocks of wood, prep it up, and clean up the gasket surface, throw some silicone on it, make sure the crank is in the right spot, and reassemble the case. I'll show you guys how to do that, and then we're going to torque all the bolts, okay, all the screws. I'm going to show you how to use a torque wrench and torque them. So, because I like to torque things. I like to make sure that they're done right, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. We're going to do a circle configuration, and we're going to work our way out, and that's how we're going to torque all the bolts on the case. Pretty simple. Basically, you're going to find a spot to start in, crankshaft right around the crankcase, and work our way out, and just go from there. Okay? And if you guys have any questions or comments, by all means, please send them my way. I hope this helps you guys in case you guys ever have a bike that just simply locks up and you think it's the crankshaft, and take your clutch off. If you turn your crank, you're good. That determines if it's your transmission or your engine. So the engine part is on this side, transmission part's on this side, and we're able. How I diagnosed it was a transmission issue was simple. I pulled the clutch assembly off. That separates the transmission from the engine, and I was able to turn the engine over just fine, but not the trans. At that point, I had no other option but to take it apart. Now that I got it apart, I was able to find the problem, and it was simple. Just looking at it, you can tell right there. We're going to replace that white gear, the gear that it got all chewed up. It got chewed up simply because it had, what do you call it there? It kept running into the warped gear. Now this shaft right here is not supposed to spin freely. There's a little keyway that goes in there, a little half moon key. So always make sure that, because if you don't put this key in, your oiler will not work. That key is what drives the shaft. And that goes on the opposite side. I'll just throw it in like it is for right the moment, show you. That's how it looks. Now, if you have a ke100 or a 125, the shaft is a little longer with a gear on this end, and there's a worm gear here, and then that rubber block, right, that's right here, that's where your tachometer drive goes. Pretty neat. But we're not at that point yet. So I just figured I'd give you guys a quick demo, show you what's going on with it and how that works. So, like I said, if you guys have any questions or comments, by all means, please send them my way. Tomorrow night, we're going to reassemble the case and get the case done. Be like just like a basket case. Or, well, you know. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. If you have any questions or any comments, by all means, please send them my way. And thank you guys for hanging out with me and doing this this job. We found out the problem. We found out the reason for doing these videos is these videos that I do show the problem, the cause, and the repair. Okay, special tools and specifications to put this back together the correct way. Okay, this is not a backyard mechanic thing. This is the actual way of fixing the transmission. Whenever you have a situation where you burn up one shaft and the gears are all warped and everything else, I personally, in my experience, don't trust. This one looks excellent. So this one here is typically in good shape. I'd probably run this one. But if this had any signs of wear from the past one, like typically what you would see is broken teeth. Okay, you see broken or chipped teeth, highly glazed teeth, warped gears, and they would bind. If you find any binding when they shift into the opposite gear, replace it. These should slide really easy with one finger. Look at that. The gear should slide off, no problem, spin freely. Same thing with the other side. That's the bushing. This first gear right here is stuck to the shaft. That's all part of the shaft, but everything else comes off. Okay. If you want to remove this gear right here, there's a clip at the bottom. You'd have to take that off. Other than that, this is actually in good shape. I would run this again. And it just goes from, you know, switch over to the next set of gears, first set of gears. And that's pretty much it. So, once again, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe.